Hello, and welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to inspire you to have a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your co-host, Dabney Vaccaro, clinical herbalist and health coach.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together. Hello and welcome to today's episode. We are excited to have Michelle Jacob, a former occupational therapist turned therapeutic coach, certified heart math and emotional freedom technique practitioner, mindfulness practitioner, author of You Are Enough, speaker, and mom to a wonderful boy. She helps transform the lives of emotionally overwhelmed people like you by identifying and releasing your unhealed wounds. These underlying issues can be the result of deep trauma or simply life's challenges, but they keep you blocked from experiencing abundance, peace, and joy. Her programs are designed for you to step into your own power and worth, find unconditional inner peace, and experience greater joy in your personal and professional life, no matter your external circumstances. Please welcome Michelle Jacob. All right, so here we are, the three of us, and Michelle just jumped on. And just before she jumped on, Dabney and I were talking about the topic of self-compassion, and we were saying how it's one of those things where you don't really, you want to be self-compassionate and give yourself self-love and these things, but how do we do it without seeming selfish or, not because especially if we're people pleasers and we're always doing something for someone. So maybe you can shed light on this topic for us.
For sure. Well, thank you for having me, Sabrina and Dabney. And
really happy to have you here. I can't wait to hear what you have to say on this topic, among others.
I can't wait to share. This is my passion topic. And Sabrina, you were mentioning, you saw it in my book as well. And one of the components that, or at least for me, this journey started when I became a mom. And that was 11 years ago, where I thought, okay, I have to be this perfect mom. And it was all about being perfect. And I didn't know at the time, back in the days, Pinterest was really very famous. So when, my son was born, I would go on Pinterest and look at, okay, what are the things I need to do? And it was impossible to do it all without hurting myself. And it did happen on his first birthday. I was like, okay, I have to throw him this big party. And it was a Dr. Seuss party. I literally stayed up 4 a.m. at night till 4 a.m. cutting all these Dr. Seuss characters, sticking it on the wall so I could give him this beautiful birthday party, because Pinterest does all these ideas. And the next day we had the party, but after that I got sick, and then I didn't have the energy for my son. I was all grumpy and tired. And it was a concept I didn't even know. You know what? We need to start taking, or I need to start taking care of me, and women watching this. We need to start taking care of us, and we get to pour out from our overflow. And I was always pouring out from an empty cup, and it was jeopardizing everything. It was jeopardizing my health, my mental health, my physical health, the way I was parenting, my relationship at the time, So yeah, self-care is not selfish. And I can't emphasize it enough, because the moment I started practicing self-care, taking care of me, going, no, actually, you know what? Sundays are going to be my days. Sundays, my son can be taken care of by someone else for a few hours. I'm going to replenish. And it became part of my boundary, where I was like, no, this is what I need. And I'm going to ask for what I need. And the other shift I found that I had to do as part of self-care was to not be perfect. I didn't have to be the perfect mom. I didn't have to be the super mom. And it was so revolutionary, or freeing, when I decided I don't have to be perfect. And I'm not even going to attempt to be a perfect mom or a super mom. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm so in awe at all the women who are doing it all. but this is who I am. I can't do it all, and that's okay. And I had to come to love the part of me that thought there was something wrong with me because I couldn't do it all, and learn to love her and be, you know what, I love that part of me too. And I have limits, and this is all the energy I got, and it's okay. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's a little bit about my self-care, origin of my self-care journey.
Well, that's so true because I mean, I'm not a parent, but I hear so many times like friends of mine would be like when their children were small, they'd be like, "Oh, I've been running around here, there. I don't even know the last time I washed my hair or took a shower or do this or and then like my clothes and dressed up." And so, I think that and then they're exhausted and I can see that they would, get so anxious and not be who they are because they're just running in all different directions. So when you say that it's important to have that self-care, I think, I mean, I don't know, Dabney, what do you think? You've raised some beautiful girls and had a busy life, so
Yeah, I certainly, certainly, Michelle, when you were talking about the birthday party, that brought back a big memory for me because when my oldest daughter at the time was turning 5, I had this big shindig, and sometimes I think about it. Well, was it for me, or was it for her? Because it was over the top and it was too much, and she probably doesn't even remember it. But I remember the day because I was exhausted and had similar things happen to me that you were describing on the next day, just tired. And it was just a lot. So, yeah, sometimes we do have this idea that we're supposed to be the perfect person, the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect employee, perfect daughter, perfect sister. Like we have these ideas of perfectionism. Maybe that's sort of hardwired in us. I don't know if it's societal. I don't know where that all stems from, but it causes a lot of stress and anxiety because we're thinking that we're not pleasing someone. And I am a people pleaser by default. And I have to work really hard about my boundaries, and I often don't keep those boundaries intact. I certainly will let them down, especially if I know that someone will be disappointed in me if I don't do what they think or want me to do. So how do you get around that? Like help.
Oh my gosh, this is like we have to open several can of worms here.
how long do we have? No, just kidding.
What we have for this. This is my passion topic,
Read the
so I
book.
can stay here forever. But one of the things, there were several things that you were saying, Dabney, and one of it was, oh, I don't even know where it started. Like, where did we get this idea from that we have to be perfect, right? And even when it comes to the boundaries, the people pleasing, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I know what it, and at times I have to catch myself. I really want to say yes when someone asks me to come to something, and I know how much energy I have. I'm an introvert by nature, so I need to, after a social gathering, I need to retrieve into my cocoon and just rest for a long period of time. So for me, now I get to say no, and I can see the guilt coming up, but then because of the tools I can transform it. But I say no because I know what I want. Now, when it comes to all of this, I feel like we have to time travel a little. And this is my passion topic because I do a lot of work around inner child and childhood wounds. And all of us, we, back in time, all of us have been programmed by the age of 7. So one of the things that I ask people to look into is, how were your parents? Did your mom or your dad, were they always hardworking, and you saw a certain type of lifestyle they were living, and you thought, oh, that is what I need to do? I always saw my mom just give, 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 give. And maybe I took on this idea that as women, I need to give, give, give. Now that's just one layer. Now there's another layer. The another layer of people pleasing comes from, again, back to our childhood, where the child starts to believe that I need to make my mom and dad happy to get their love. And this is all in a subconscious level, by the way. So we are not even consciously aware of many of these things that we do. They're very subconscious. And so then we start people pleasing our parents, depending on, if you're the oldest sibling or the middle sibling, the rebels in the family. So depending on where you are, you end up being the people pleaser because you're like, okay, I like to maintain peace. I'm just going to do things what others will, find works, because I just want the peace. I don't want anyone to not love me, because in the core it's like, oh, if I don't say yes to what they are saying, there's this fear. And again, this is all in our subconscious, the fear of losing that friendship or losing that relationship, right? So so there is that element to it. So where is this fear originating from? Because underlying our people pleasing personalities that we all have, I feel, many women, is this idea that, okay, if I say no, are they still going to love me? Are they still going to be my friend? Are they going to get offended? Because we have also taken on other people's emotions as our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not ours to carry. And again, that's from our childhood. Did we take on the emotional responsibility of our parents as well? Did we think we needed to please them? We needed to take care of our their emotions. So there's so many layers to people pleasing, by the way. So that's just like an outline of it, just a summary of it. But yeah, when it comes to boundaries, I believe, sorry, Daphne, remind me of your second question. Was it, how do we create the boundaries? Was that the question?
Well, yeah. How do you create them? How do you keep them without
we were talking about.
Yeah. How do you keep them intact? Like, I'll often compromise what I need or want because someone else has asked me to do something and I'm okay to do it. Like, I'm not real strong in my things I have to do. Like, I can compromise very easily. But often I compromise myself, let's say. And yeah.
And then sometimes don't you find that you might in the moment say, oh yeah, I can do it. Cause you're kind of like on that fence where it's kind of like you it's your boundary, but you're like, okay, I'll sway over. And then when you do something and you give up of yourself, then you're like, oh, this is more than I thought it was going to be. And then you act on resentment, sort of, you get that resentment that you did say yes, because now you're like, oh, this is taking longer than I thought. Now I'm never going to get to that. Or I really did give up something that I really thought I would enjoy. I had this little bit of extra free time that I could spend on something else.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Because that's the thing, right? It's us people pleasers, we'll say yes and we'll do it. But when we're doing it, there's a little bit of energy of resentment rather than the energy of love. And I always tell people, be mindful of how you're giving. It's great. Like, people pleasers, we're amazing people. We're full of love. And so one of the things that people pleasers need to be mindful of is, what is the energy I'm coming from when it comes to serving others? If in my heart, the energy is love, I just want to give, it's great. Do it. But if suddenly my heart, the way I feel is, I find if someone asks something of me and my heart kind of shrinks, kind of shuts down, I feel this barrier forming. It's a sign. It's a sign that I'm not a full yes here. And if I'm going to give, it's going to be me struggling with resentment after, or even beating myself up for it after. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? I don't have the time to do this, right? So that is one of the things you can start off with. Whenever you're going to say yes or no, notice your own energy. Go within. If you feel such an ease to say yes and it brings you joy, follow that. But if you feel like there's an inner struggle, then as people pleaser, one of the things I started off by saying was, you know what, give me a day to think about it, or let me check my calendar. Just giving you that space so you can go and actually sit with it and see if you really want to do it or not. So not to feel that you need to respond quickly.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice, because I probably do respond too quickly, and then I feel committed to it, and then I'm going to keep my word. Like, that's part of who I am, and my integrity is I'm not going to back out, even if I want to.
I hear you. Yeah. So the best thing is buy yourself some time. And one of the things I had to do, and Sabrina, I don't know, I think you told me you got a chance to look at that part in the book. In the book, I talk about, we need to know what our boundaries are first. Mm-hmm. See, for me, I had no clue what my boundaries were. So I was, okay, I feel like doing it. But then again, I can't say no because I didn't even know for me, this is something that would be something I would regret later. So I didn't even know what my boundaries were. So how can you know, other than the energy you're feeling or the emotions you're feeling, and how can you even know to say no if you don't know what these boundaries are? So one of the things I tell people is start by self-reflecting. Get your journals out and write down, okay, what are my boundaries? What are the things that I'm okay with? What are the things I'm not okay with? And I like to use the word, what are my self boundaries? This actually goes even into our thoughts, right? So what are some of the thoughts I'm going to entertain in my head? And what are some of the thoughts I'm not going to entertain? Literally, there's a boundary within yourself as well. And same with others. What are some of the energies out there that I'm going to take in or not take in? There's so many levels to boundary, right? There's the mind level, there's the spiritual level, and there's the physical level, the physical boundaries. So yeah, let me know if you guys want me to go deeper into any of this.
Well, I think, you know what, it's good to have a good touch, because I think like people, if they want to know more, they can reach out to you, they can read your book and find out a lot more about the techniques and that you offer, because it's very insightful and very helpful, especially if you're stuck in some of the given areas, you know, that you talk about. And I think it's just a great start because it answers some of the questions on a level that we can expand on further.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And so for me, sometimes this is okay. And when you cross your boundary, I don't know if this happens to you, but you know, I am a loving person. I do things with great love and everything like that. But on those times where I kind of go, I don't know. And then I go, okay, I'll do it. Nobody else can do it. I'll just do it. I feel like you get that resentment. And then you know that's not who you are. You may have reacted in a way that you didn't want to react. So this brings up the topic of forgiveness. So, you know, forgiving not only others, but ourselves, and how, because it's hard to like not feel that really deep in yourself, that like, oh, like, how do you forgive and others, maybe for them making you, you know, I don't know. It's just the whole forgiveness thing is sometimes hard on different levels, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes. And you know, I feel like to practice forgiveness, we also have to practice compassion. I feel they go hand in hand. Because sometimes on our journey of healing, so let's say we're practicing boundaries for the first time, we're not going to be perfect at it.
Right.
We might get, and we have to also celebrate the little moments that we actually do get it. Yes, I said no to this. Let me celebrate, right? We got to celebrate, because that's how the neural connections are formed as well. They get strengthened when you celebrate. So celebrate the little victories. I have to throw that in here. But
and then realize that nothing happened because you didn't say no, right? Like that we actually like we're okay, and everybody else was okay because we said no. They figured it out. Everybody figured it out.
yes, you are still loved. You
We're
didn't
still-
lose that friendship or that relationship. You are loved. You're enough no matter what. So yeah, back to compassion. So when you're making that mistake, one of the things, and let's say you did something and you have come back home, you're sitting on the couch and you're going, I'm so exhausted. How could I not have made, said no? Why did I do this? Take that moment to just send some love to that part of you. First of all, we need to recognize, I love how you said the resentment, because you need to recognize the resentment. And that's where mindfulness comes in handy. You want to recognize your emotions and you want to recognize them, become aware of them with kindness, without judgment. That's the key, the kindness and non-judgment. You're becoming aware of it. And then you get to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to send love to that part of me. It's okay. I make mistakes sometimes. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's being human, right? So talking to ourselves with kindness in that moment is important. So starting off with that. And then we come to forgiveness, because one of the things people don't understand is when you have resentment towards another human being or towards yourself, it's literally like you poisoning yourself. I love what Nelson Mandela said. If you're going to hold resentment towards another human being, that's like you drinking poison and thinking they're going to die.
Right.
Right. A lot of chronic diseases in women, especially because us women are so emotional, and there's so many chronic diseases out there that women struggle with because we hold on to these emotions. We suppress this resentment, and it's so important to release it. And I can even share, I'm not really sure how much time we have, but one of the things I was going to say, I can even share a meditation, but what I could do instead, if you don't have a lot of time, is just break it down. When it comes to resentment, you want to sit with it and go, where am I noticing this resentment in my body? Right? You got to notice that resentment, like take a journey into it. Okay, what's the shape you can give it? What is the color? And then you get to release it from your body. And you're releasing, you're literally, you can imagine releasing that resentment, and you're releasing the person as well. If this is resentment towards another person, you can even imagine a cord being stuck to you. You guys are tied together and you're releasing it because you're like, okay, I no longer want to give that person this much power over me. Because that's what resentment does. You're giving away your power to someone else, right? So there's that forgiveness, starting to understand it's the mindset shift. So starting to understand that, hey, you know what? Me holding on to that resentment is not serving me at all. And when it comes to now the other person to forgive is yourself, and that's often the hardest. And that's when, again, the self-compassion piece that I was talking about earlier comes in, where there's so many ways to do it. And, one of the easiest way would be to start with that self-compassion bit. That's okay. Maybe not this time, but next time I'm going to say, no, I am growing every day in every way. I'm getting better and better. So next time I'm going to practice my nose, right? So being...
I remember you said something in your book about, for self-compassion, it's almost like you wouldn't talk to yourself like you would a friend, right? And how would you help them? You wouldn't talk down to them, or you wouldn't say mean things to them. If they were in a situation, you would ease them through it, and you would talk to them with positive words. And so that resonated. That was really great, because I think a lot of people, tend to just talk to themselves in a negative way, right? And then you think, well, I wouldn't talk to my friend like that, so why am I doing it to myself?
Right.
And so I think, and then the loving, loving kindness meditation, I just posted one on our on our podcast. It's the same thing, like, taking in, and then giving out as well, so that you feel better, right? And seeing the world light up with love is kind of a nice way.
Yes, exactly. Right. I feel like ultimately the healing journeys, it's us coming to the core of who we are. And in the core of who we are is love and light. And the more we practice being into, I love that you share the compassion meditation, because it allows you to energetically shift into the love. And when you can energetically shift into love and you're radiating that love and light towards yourself and others, you're literally shifting. When, in HeartMath, they show that our frequency, each of our emotions have a frequency, right? So there's a field that we create with our emotions. And when we come from a field of love and peace and joy, our field can impact the field of others around us. Same with anger. And, so think about it. If you were driving and somebody honked and sweared at you, you probably would have a bad mood that day as well. But if you were walking and a stranger starts talking to you, or you smile at a stranger, something nice happens to you, what are you doing after? You're excited and you're spreading that joy. So we can actually influence each other's fields, influence each other's emotional states. And so I feel we shouldn't underestimate the power of that, how powerful each of us are individually.
So true.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. So anyway, so on that whole topic as well, when you're saying, like, we have these negative thoughts about us, it could be like coming from limiting beliefs. It could come from your childhood, perhaps, or something traumatic, or something that could have happened that triggered you to have these feelings. So you mentioned again in your book, because I really highly recommend everybody read this book, because it's absolutely amazing. But we all know, like, Tony Robbins and the whole thing. And you did mention about him and talking about changing your story, changing your life, and then how it will change your life as a result, and change your mindset, right? We always hear, like, shift your mindset, shift your mindset. So I don't know if there's something that we can talk about that, because I think sometimes people find it hard to actually shift, or what is something that we can do to shift the mindset to come from a more positive, in a more positive way, look at things in a more positive way.
And thinking about changing your story, like what are the steps in changing the story?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot to unfold. I mean, you can touch on
Yeah.
one thing or a little bit of
There
it,
is
you
a
know,
lot
like
to
something that maybe you feel is one of the main things that we could focus on just to get started, and then
for sure. So first of all, let's understand where the story, how do you form your story, right? Because the first step is awareness. So let's say you have a story, and if you're not even aware that the story is not serving you, you're not going to make a shift. And all our stories, they're all part of our subconscious programming. And we're all being programmed, believe it or not, by the age of 7. And so the belief system you're carrying, I'm carrying, all of us are carrying, these belief systems have been programmed into us by the age of 7, and they're the programming of our parents and our teachers and the society around us. After 7, we have our own self-talk and our own ideas, and we start carrying those belief systems. And so here we are as adults in our autopilot programming, the programming that we didn't even question. Is this programming serving me at all? We don't even question it. We just go about our days thinking, yeah, this is true. Because what is a belief system? A belief system is something that is true to the individual. But then comes a period in your life. So belief system is your story, right? So you have a story, oh, this is not working because this is, I'm not capable enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. That's usually story for all of us in the core. I'm not enough. Now, if you can take a moment to sit with this story and go, why do I believe that about me? When was the first time in my life that I thought I wasn't beautiful enough, or I wasn't smart enough, or good enough, or doing enough? Where did this come from? Who put this idea into me? Right? If you start to become self-aware, and that's the first step, there's so many steps to this process. It's like
I'll have you on again for a specific, lesson in this.
that sounds like a plan. Sounds like, but that's your first step, being aware and sitting down with this story and going, is this story serving me? Because guess what? We all have a choice in the moment. We forget we have a choice. Do I want to continue giving energy to the story, or do I want to change my story? If this story is not empowering me, I am allowed, you are allowed to change that story, change it into something that empowers you instead.
Right.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel fired up.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a new person now. I'm going to wipe away the old doubt. Here we come.
Here we go. Here we come.
Exactly. Because it'll be fascinating when you actually sit with it. You realize, oh my gosh, this is not even mine. This story is something my grandma told me, or it's my mom's belief, or my dad's belief, or my teacher put that into me, right? So I highly recommend everyone sit with their stories and see, where did you actually get this story? Is it true? Is it serving me right now? Those are some of the questions to ask.
A quote that I just found yesterday. I was like, every morning I have to remind myself that I don't need to prove myself to anyone, not a single soul. I don't need to justify, defend, over-explain, or convince anyone about any aspect of my life or my choices. I'm doing my best. I'm healing, hurting, growing, grieving, loving, learning, and most of all, I'm trying. Anyone who wants to judge where I'm at, compete, or criticize has no place in any part of my life. I've spent a lifetime trying to get people to accept me or feel proud of me, but all that matters is that I'm proud of myself.
Yes.
A bit of what we were talking about is that, you
Exactly.
your story, and if you're okay with your story and you feel proud of your story,
Yes.
where you've grown and what you're working on, nobody else knows what you're working on, right? And so we have to focus on us. And like you said, that becomes the self-care and the self-love and the self-compassion towards ourselves, so that we can be better, or the version of ourselves that we want to put out into the universe for everybody else to have.
Yes. There's a quote I wrote in the book, and it says, self-love is not just loving the parts of me that's amazing. It's also loving the parts of me that's amazingly flawed. Mm-hmm. And when you can see yourself without judgment and accept that part of you, then all of a sudden you won't be so fearful of other people's judgment. The reason many of us, and that the fear of judgment, a lot of people think only they have, but it's a human condition. We all fear judgment. It's a human condition. And part of the reason we fear that judgment is because we are constantly judging ourselves. Think about how much we judge ourselves every day. And I wrote about it in the book. I didn't realize I was bullying myself. Why did I even complain about other people judging me or criticizing me when I was the one doing it myself every day? Standing in the mirror and going, oh, my arms, they're so chubby. I wish it was thinner, right? Like we are criticizing ourselves, including our body parts. So there's a whole exercise where, I started to realize I am, in a way, the universe to the little cells in my body. And if these were all my kids, I'm literally bullying one of my kids right now. So that was the story shift I had to say to accept my body, where I went, no, you know what? I get to take care of each of these little tiny cells in my body and send it love. And I literally had to, one of the exercises in the book is placing your hand on your body part that you hate or you criticize and bully, and just send it love and say, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being there. And sending it love and starting to shift a little bit about yourself and starting to love yourself fully, then you're actually free. You no longer will be affected by what someone tells you that you can and cannot do or should be and shouldn't be. And that's the freedom I feel comes with healing, comes with stepping into self-love and loving ourselves unconditionally, practicing self-compassion, practicing non-judgment. Because the moment you stop judging yourself, you no longer care about how others are seeing you, because you suddenly understand the reason they are judging you is because they are in pain. The only people who judge others, let's say if I'm judging somebody, it's because there's part of me judging myself about it. So I can pick it on other people because it comes easily to me because I've been practicing judging myself. So, right? So that I feel should be all of our journeys, healing ourselves from the within, stepping into self-love, kindness, non-judgment. Very simple, yet hard.
Powerful words. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love this. And so in your book, I'm going to take an excerpt from your book, and it says, living your purpose. The pain you went through in your life is not to bring you down, but to build you up. Your pain is what fuels change. And if not for the pain, you would not be pushed to transform and become the person you are destined to be. I love to use the example of carbon turning into diamond when exposed to extreme heat and pressure. When you grow from pain, you become like the diamond, strong and radiating your inner light, which I just thought was a really nice way to kind of wrap up what we've kind of talked about, because it's all that we evolve, right? And as we heal, we become this radiant light that we can put out in the world. And so it's nice that that just somehow resonated with me.
I forget the author. I think it's Mary Ann Williams. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a quote where it goes, when you can shine really bright. I'm just, this is not the exact way, I'm just paraphrasing it. But basically, when you let yourself shine brightly, you're giving permission to others to shine their light bright as well. I wish I had that quote because I think I just butchered it, but this was the gist of it. That when you shine your light, it gives permission to others to shine their light as well. And, all of us go through pain. It's part of the human condition. It's part of the human experience. It's part of that evolution, because without that pain, you wouldn't even, first of all, understand what joy and being pain-free would be.
Right.
We need to experience both sides in a way. We need darkness and light. But we get to, as humans, choose. And back to our story, right? That painful situation, some people have looked at that pain, have chosen to see the negative, and because of that, they're stuck. But your pain doesn't necessarily have to keep you stuck. You can look at it and you can look at, how can I grow from this? What is it trying to teach me? And how can I serve others with the lessons?
Yeah.
Great. So great. So great having you. I think you have such words of wisdom and things that people really can work on themselves. Everybody thinks, there's a lot of people out there that feel like, oh, I don't need anything. I'm good, but I think everybody has something they can work on. And, we really thank you for being part of this episode and being part of our chat today and our discussion. And we always ask our guests, if you could leave our audience and us with one healthy dose of happiness, what would it be and why?
One healthy dose of happiness?
Yes. One healthy dose of happiness that you could give our listeners. What would it be and why?
I would definitely have to be, you are enough, you are valuable, and you're here with a purpose.
I love it. Yeah. And if people want to find you, where can they find you? Do you have things that are available online for listeners? Because some of Dabney's listeners are out in Virginia. We have listeners all over, but Dabney's in Virginia as well. So we always.
That's amazing. Well, yes, they can find me online. I'm on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, literally posting every day with material. And my Instagram is rewiring, REWIRING_minds. So that's Rewiring Minds. And I have a YouTube channel. So once you come on Instagram, you'll have access to the YouTube channel. And the website is rewiringminds.com. And the book, people just need to search You Are Enough by Michelle Jacob. And it's available online in Chapters, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and wherever in the world they are. They just need to Google You Are Enough by Michelle Jacob, because I realize there's a lot of books that are You Are Enough. So they do need to put in my name. And yeah, they can get a copy of the book that way too.
I'm definitely going to grab a copy, Michelle.
Yeah. Thank you, Daphne.
Definitely.
And we'll have all the information in our show notes as well, so that people can find you a little easier. And I'm so excited. We'll have to have you back and talk, dive into something, or
yes.
Because I know you have a lot of programs available, and I think it's worthwhile. I even wanted to join it. It was a little last minute for me, this last 7-week one, but I'm gonna dive in as soon as I'm able to do that.
Oh, we would love to have you. And that's my in-person. So online, I have the same thing online as well in the morning. So this is a small group, and we meet up and we transform our daily stressors and journal work, meditation. It is so good. I love it. I just had it this morning. I'm still high from it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
In our day, and we look forward to hearing more about you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, and please leave your comments. Let us know what you're learning and how we're doing. We really would love to have your feedback. So until next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.